Hi everyone, thank you for joining us on VodTalk. I'm Alisha Ahmed and I'm joined by my co-host Wafa today. And today we're going to be speaking about a topic that impacts every single woman around the world.
The topic of womanism versus feminism has risen immensely, especially during recent times, with more political awareness on elements such as social media. People have really come forward and understood and tried to debate on the topic of womanism versus feminism. With topics such as racial discrimination and sexism coming forward, this is also something that has really come to surface.
So to discuss all of these things today, we are joined by three lovely A-level students. We have Robyn Aaron, Elif Vieira, and Timothy Sithole. Hi guys, hi. How are you? Is everyone good today?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's just get straight into it. First, I want to ask you each, what does feminism actually mean? How would you define it, and what does it mean to you? If I could start with Elif, I'd love to hear what you think.
So feminism to me, I feel like it's the equality of both genders in all fields, such as like work life, social life, and your normal day-to-day life.
That's a really good definition. Thank you. Robyn, do you have any input on that? Anything else to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, like Elif, I think it's the fight to try and get gender equality for all genders in all aspects.
That's perfect. Okay. Timothy, would you add anything? Anything different or?
Pretty much the same lines that they're on, just striving for equal rights for women, like in all aspects of life, in voting, jobs, equal pay, etc., etc.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay.
So as it's just seen as something that's fighting for equal rights for women, why do you feel like feminism isn't something that really helps or appeals to women specifically, or people in general of ethnic backgrounds? Timothy?
Wait, so could you repeat that question?
No, it's okay. So feminism is just basically, the main, obviously, as you guys were saying, is just fighting for equal rights or equality for women. And but a lot of people feel as though it doesn't kind of appeal to women of ethnic minorities specifically. Why do you feel as that could be the case, or ethnic backgrounds in general? Do you guys know, or is anyone?
I feel like in the UK, like feminism has a lot of mainstream attention, but like in other cultures and in other regions of the world, I feel like there's still a lot of patriarchal oppression, and like certain cultural circumstances can lead to women not feeling as though feminism is like a reasonable and or like achievable goal almost.
Definitely.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Robyn, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I feel like the reason why it might not appeal to women of like ethnic minorities is because I think feminism, the traditional feminism at least, is very much centered around the white middle class woman. And I feel like for that reason, women of ethnic minorities might not feel it's supporting them and it's really striving for equal rights for them. I feel like that might be a reason.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm actually really glad you said that, Robyn, because I want to ask, maybe Timothy, do you remember anything about like the origins of feminism, in particular, like Robyn said, white middle class women? Do you remember anything maybe we learned like in school in history about feminism emerging a long time ago?
I think initially, like with the suffragettes movement, I think initially when they got the right to vote, it was only like a specific small part of society, and it wasn't like including all like people of lower classes and people of like minorities or people of color. So you can even see from like the foundations of movements like the suffragettes, although they did good things, it wasn't inclusive of everyone, and that's just like led to today where some people might feel ostracized by the feminist movement. I feel like it doesn't really include as much as it should.
Exactly. That gives a really good insight into why people, especially of ethnic backgrounds, they're not really included in feminism much at all. So, on the other hand, what is womanism? Why did it have to emerge? Robyn, maybe you could start and tell us.
So actually, womanism, the term was coined by a Black author called Alice Walker in I think the late 1970s, and she kind of described it as a movement that really noticed the differences that Black women face in the discrimination they face on their sex compared to white women, and I feel like that looking at the kind of intersectionality between the discrimination based on race and then the discrimination based on their sex is a really important. I think it's a really key thing to actually getting to the root cause and actually being able to fix any kind of sexual discrimination that any woman of any kind of ethnic minority faces.
Yeah, so it's clearly really important. Has anyone else heard anything about womanism on, as Wafa mentioned early on, in social media, or have you guys, like, where have you heard about womanism, or what do you know about it? Elif, have you heard about it from like anywhere, maybe even friends or?
Yeah, as far as I have been informed, I think that womanism is the theory of based on the experiences and perspectives of particularly Black women, but also women from ethnic minorities. So
Yeah, thank you. Timothy, do you have anything to add? What could you add on?
I saw a thread on Womanism on Twitter, and it was just basically talking about how it's a movement that just strives to include everyone, and especially particularly people of color, or women of color anyway. So yeah, I think it's a very good movement, and I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see where it takes us.
It is a really good movement, and it's like it's clearly reached us young people through social media. Political awareness has been raised with us, so yeah.
So with that, it's even though it's such an important topic that impacts so many women today, like nearly all women of today, why do you feel like it's not talked about enough? Because feminism is such an important, big topic that we learn about in schools and we learn about in, it's really put forward. But why do you feel as though womanism is, especially in recent times, even though it affects so many people, seen as an almost taboo, kind of controversial topic, or like it's not remotely as encouraged or talked about as feminism? Do you guys have any idea?
I was going to say, I feel like it's really sad to kind of think about it in this way, but I think because it's a movement led by and extremely inclusive of Black women, that's something that society doesn't seem to really want to look at, is how to help Black women in their struggle in any kind of way. And I feel like sadly that might be the reason why it's not spoken about as widely as feminism is.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like just on the whole, like it's less glamorous. Like you see in school, like you'll learn about someone like Martin Luther King, but you won't really learn about someone like Malcolm X, because like when like something is seen as less glamorous and like more rough or harder to portray in the news or something like that, the easier thing like feminism, which is easier to touch on, there's like they can almost like make it out like feminism has been completed, because in a way, if you look back into like the 1920s to right now in 2021, big things have happened in the feminist movement, like women getting the right to vote in a lot of places in the world. But womanism is not even close to being completed, because especially for ethnic minorities, there's still big discrepancies between them and their male counterparts.
Yeah. So Elif, do you think you've heard about like feminism more than womanism? Like, can you agree that, like what Timothy said, like feminism?
I feel like, I definitely do agree with what Timothy said, and I feel like it is easy. I feel like for some people, it's just easier to just agree and go along with the idea of feminism. But also, I feel like the word has unnecessary, like, negative stigma attached to it. And I feel like to different people, it can mean different things.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. What do you mean by that? Like, what is the negative stigma that surrounds it, and where does it come from? Is it coming from other women, or is it coming from men, or just altogether? Where is it coming from?
I feel like it comes from just like a wide range of audience that don't want to, I don't know how to put it, but like I feel like it's because like Robyn said before, like it's a theory and idea like led by women. So I just feel like people, and mostly like some men, don't want to accept it because it is led by women.
I think, like, to be blunt, I think like feminists get a lot of hate, and calling yourself a feminist can lead to people like just giving you hate for being a feminist. And I think either people can be really proud to claim to be a feminist, or they can get a lot of hate for saying that they are one, you know.
Exactly. I feel like the stigma with being a feminist is we hate men. That's not true, and that's something that's again come negatively with people have abused like what it actually means, and they don't
Yeah,
understand
exactly.
therefore. But in fact, I feel like everyone should be on the basis of feminism, just for equal rights for everyone, whether it's men, women, and that's why the element of women comes in, not just men and women of one color, it should be everyone. And so I feel like that's what people need to understand and get more definitions clear. Because again, like I've been called, you hate men, you do this, because I've been proudly said that I'm feminist, and I've, put that forward. So I feel like that's also something that people need to educate themselves on.
Yeah, exactly. People do need to educate themselves, because that's just going to slow the movement down. So yeah, and going back to the topic of feminism versus womanism, with womanism, what do people of ethnic backgrounds experience? Like examples of why feminism and womanism clash, if that makes sense. Like, does anyone know why it's different for women of ethnic backgrounds? Robyn, maybe, or Elif, Timothy, whoever would like to start first.
I mean, I think we see like almost everyday examples of Black women and women of other ethnic minorities facing the kind of discrimination that a white girl or a white woman is not going to face. I saw a statistic the other day that said Black girls and white girls at school normally behave the same, like they have the same amount of like misbehaviors and stuff. But a Black girl is like 5 times more likely to be suspended for the same behavior as a white girl is. And I think the fact that it's even starting so young as in like school, I think is a really jarring example of how deep rooted the issue is.
Yeah, that's such a big issue that you raised, because those are children we're talking about, and they might not even understand the concept of feminism versus womanism, but this is happening to them, and they could be like really helpless to stop it. People around them might not be able to stop it because they don't understand that this is all because of feminism versus womanism. So, do you know any other examples? Elif, Timothy, like you might not know specific examples, but if you do, if you can think of anything.
Like Robyn said, in sociology, we actually do touch on the fact that, Black young girls are more likely to be suspended than if a white girl were to display the same behavior. Like they would be more likely to be, kicked out. So yeah, it is also a statistical fact that we look into at sociology.
Oh wow, that's interesting that you learn it in sociology. Does anyone else do sociology, or no? Oh, okay, that's why we have Elif here anyway. She can tell us. Well, I know an example that me and Wafa were actually discussing. She told me about women in labour, particularly women of ethnic black backgrounds and Black women. I can't remember the statistic. What was it, Wafa? About
Um,
epidural.
it was, I'm not also not too sure about the statistic, but it was saying that women, specifically Black women, are given less pain relief because their doctors believe that they can have a higher pain tolerance, which is ridiculous and causes a lot of women who have had experiences in the hospitals, as Alisha was stating before, from people that we both know, they've come back and been really traumatized from their experiences at the hospital, experiences giving birth. And that's such a major thing, that it's going to the hospital because you need care is something that you fear, because and that's so ridiculous. That's so ridiculous, and it's from really, really young as well. With other examples, like Black women, I'm gonna jump on what Robyn was saying earlier about it stemming from such a young age, where women of or little young girls of ethnic backgrounds are almost sexualized from such a young age when it comes to this as well. For example, if wearing like stylish clothes, I don't know if it's just me, but I've seen it where if it is a young girl who's, you know, a white girl, it's seen as fashionable, it's seen as this, but I've comments made of for girls who are of ethnic backgrounds. It's more, oh, you're trying to be grown, or you're trying to be. Do you understand? And I think that's
I understand what you're talking about.
Because people do, you know, sexualize them from young, and that's disgusting, because parents feel like they need to teach their children to protect themselves, but that shouldn't have to be the case.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be the case, because that issue shouldn't be there in the first place.
I also, sorry.
Yeah.
No. One thing I was gonna say, yeah. I also feel like some like black girls may feel like they don't even love their own skin, because like even in a basic sense, like people like might want to touch your hair, or you may feel like you want to conform to the European beauty standards. You may feel like your 4C hair is not as beautiful, it's not as attractive, or it's not as appealing as like a white person's hair, for example, or anyone else's hair, which is seen as a more appealing or attractive sense. Like, and that could be in any industry. That could be in the modeling industry. That could be in the acting industry. But that could even be in the workplace or in school, when like some schools or some industries say stuff like, "Oh, that's not professional. That's not a professional hairstyle," and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That whole idea has been internalized by especially young women, Black women, and women of ethnic backgrounds. And that just shows you why it's so important for those women to have empowerment, and for those women to be womanists and spread womanism around more, you know. And going back to what Wafa we were talking about earlier about labor and epidural, I actually know someone really close to me who had that exact experience, and she told me that during her childbirth she was treated and handled really badly. She was put in a lot of pain, and she is actually quite traumatized from that experience, and it just makes me really sad to know that she went through that, and that it's like that. It's like that for so many other women as well. And she was treated like that in hospital, in a place where she should feel safe and cared for, but that still happened to her, and she had a really bad labor experience because of that. So, you know, I know someone that has first-hand experience. Probably all of us know someone that has these kind of experiences. So, yeah. But
and I feel like if I'm going to go back to what Timothy was saying about they don't feel comfortable in their own skin, it's because from young we were taught that almost Eurocentric features are a lot more beautiful, or a lot more this, and until it comes in fashion. But it doesn't come in fashion when a woman of an ethnic background does it. It comes in fashion when a white woman brings it into fashion. For example, big lips is something that has been such a beautiful feature of so many of women of ethnic backgrounds, but they're referred to as Kylie Jenner lips. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So ridiculous that features that women of ethnic backgrounds have that are so beautiful that they were shamed for are only seen as beautiful if a white woman kind of brings it forward.
Yeah, that's really true. That's true. So, moving on to something, the next part. Do you think there's any what are the similarities between feminism and womanism? Because they're not all different. It's not all completely different. They're actually really similar. Robyn, what do you think?
I mean, both movements are striving for equality on some level. I think while there are very clear differences between the two, I think maybe the core ideas at both of them to get equality for a certain group or a larger group unites both of the movements.
Yeah, exactly. What else, guys? Timothy or Elif, could you add anything if there is? Like, I know Robyn explained it really well, but if you think there's anything else that's similar between the two, between feminism and womanism.
Yeah, like Robyn said, I feel like in that sense it is quite similar that they're both trying to strive for, a particular type of equality. However, I just feel like for women from ethnic backgrounds, it's just harder because they also have to fight like, racial discrimination as well as also feminism. So I just feel like it's harder in that sense.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
And I feel like although they're both fighting for equality, I feel like they're quite different elements of equality. So, for example, white women, the main thing is kind of their main stances that I've heard personally are like free the nipple, or coming like that. But women of color are fighting for their lives all around the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're targeted all around the world, everywhere. Even in places that are seen as a Western society where you feel like it's less because it's more diverse. That's not true. Women of ethnic backgrounds are still fighting essentially fighting for their lives.
Yeah, they're still oppressed.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, they both are good movements, but there's just there just needs to be more like awareness that it's really different for women of ethnic backgrounds. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like you could be both a womanist or a feminist, or do you feel like it's just one of each? What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's both, or do you think if you're one you can't really be the other because they practice different things?
I feel like you can be both, but I feel like having like being a womanist is kind of, it's a greater battle than being a feminist is. So I feel like whilst you can say, yes, I'm a feminist, I want equal rights for all genders, I think being a womanist is kind of more than that. And I think you can be both, but one holds more power and one holds more meaning.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anyone else? Maybe even on your own views or whatever you are, like personally. Sorry, simply carry.
Oh no, I was pretty much just gonna say the same thing. Like that, the two aren't mutually exclusive. Just that the issue of womanism, I feel like, is more pertinent than the issue of feminism. So yeah, I feel like you can definitely be both, but the focus should be on womanism.
Yeah, I agree. So to wrap this all up, does anyone else have anything left over they want to add? Something they wanted to say?
I just think as much attention that we can draw to womanism, I think is great. Definitely. Anyway.
Exactly. That's got to be the solution, right? Just to raise more awareness, which is exactly what we're doing here.
Yeah. So making sure that it's more spoken about, but not just on social media, because I feel like a lot of the youth, it's not taught. It's from social media we get our information from. I think that's something we need to try and target. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us, Timothy, Elif, and Robyn. It was so great having you guys. I hope you guys also enjoyed. People who are watching, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys are more educated on the topic of womanism versus feminism.
It's been a pleasure.
So please continue to join us here on VodTalk for more youth fluent episodes, and make sure you all like, subscribe, share, and comment. Please let us know what you'd like to hear about next. You can reach out to us on platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. So I hope I can see everyone again soon. But for now, bye from Alisha, Ahmed,
and Wafa.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.